Cole, a lot of the conversation around Astros fans have been adding starting pitching.
Yeah.
Or adding bullpen help. You feel like there's a need for at least one starter and at least one reliever before the deadline comes and goes. But some Astros fans, looking at the numbers, some Astros fans have been watching this team play all year, and they realize that the pitching's actually been better statistically than the offense for the vast majority of this season. So you would love it for the Astros to somehow, some way add a bat, and it feels like outfield is kind of where most Astros fans are looking if they were to go in that direction. So I ask you, in your personal opinion, do you think the Astros need to add an outfielder before the deadline gets here?
Yes, only because of I don't want to risk giving Mauricio Dubon outfield help. And the reason why is I think he's better suited for the infield right now. Just because of when you do get back a Jose Altuve, it gives you versatility to allow him to maybe play shortstop. If you need to get an off day for Alex Bregman, he can play the hot corner. It gives you an option to where now you don't have to worry about him over-exceeding and overdoing it a little bit. So when you add in an outfield, it not only gives you an arm, gives you a bat, and it also gives you a little bit more versatility in that stance.
So Dubon, you're okay with Dubon basically not being an everyday player then? Because I'm with you, he gives you a ton of versatility, but when Altuve comes back, there might already not be a spot for Mauricio Dubon every single day, but if they add another bat, then you feel like there's less of an opportunity for him to be an everyday player.
But what if there is an opportunity and you just say, hey, Jeremy, listen, right now we got to go ahead and do what's best for the team. We're going to move you to the bench. Because that could be an option too.
Yeah.
And especially depending on what kind of bat that you add in, whether it be a contact bat or whether it be a power bat, you get the defensive outfielder versus the power-hitting outfielder. That could decide how you want to line up the rest of your lineup 1 through 9. And that's a huge deal because of when you have that, that gives you also versatility. Because, again, the defensive part for a guy like Jeremy Pena is still on pace. Like, the guy still is delivering when it comes to the glove. He just has to find his rhythm when it comes to the bat.
So I'm back and forth on whether or not I think the Astros need an outfielder. They're getting pretty solid production from their outfield group right now. I mean, Kyle Tucker's a stud. He was an all-star last week. He's a beast. You know he's a lock to start in right field every single day.
Not a lot to get paid, but, that's something.
Well, yeah, he will get paid. It's just a couple of years down the road.
Yeah,
he could get paid right now if he wanted to. He just wants to get paid more by waiting, and I don't blame him
I was
too
saying,
much.
can you blame him?
No. And unfortunately, it's probably not going to be here. But that's for another day. Chas McCormick should be a lock to start in center field or in left field. Just he needs to be in the lineup every single day. I think every single Astros fan realizes that. It feels like Dusty is finally starting to realize that. We know Dusty doesn't like Chas McCormick that much for reasons unbeknownst to any of us, but Chas McCormick has clearly done enough to where he should be in the lineup every single day.
Because he finally has dirt on him. Because for the last 6 months, it's probably been like Dusty has something against him to where he has dirt to where if he ever says anything negative, throw that out on Twitter. Everyone's going to retweet it. Well, Chas during the All-Star break found something on Dusty. He's like, threw it in his desk. It's like, play me.
Yeah.
Checkmate.
It's gotten to the point where, when you have an OPS over 900, you pretty much have to be in the lineup every single day. So Dusty Baker has finally gotten access to the internet to see what Chas McCormick's stats are this year. So you've got two guys who are locks to be in the lineup every single day in the outfield. Corey Julks has been good.
Yeah.
Like, could you upgrade from Corey Julks? Yes, but he has been a solid player. He's been one of the best defensive left fielders in the game this year, and he's given you, slightly above average production at the plate, but he hasn't been a liability on offense by any stretch. And then you've got Mauricio Dubon there as well as that fourth outfielder when Jose Altuve comes back. So I'm not going to throw in Jake Myers. I'm intentionally leaving him out. I would honestly be surprised if Myers is on this team after the deadline.
Well, that's the thing, is that's the reason you add in a bat. Because he's probably not going to be here in 2 weeks.
But I don't think Myers should factor too much. Like, obviously, you would need depth. You would need somebody to replace Myers. But, I'm not like, okay, well, we're getting rid of Myers, so we have to add a really, really good bat. Like, Myers is the fifth outfielder for me when this team is healthy, assuming Michael Brantley doesn't come back. If Brantley comes back, stupid even to have this conversation.
Can we just stop with the conversation?
Okay, yeah, we can't stop with the conversation.
I'm going to stop you before you go a little too hard and hurt your brain.
But I feel like there's not much to hurt. I feel like those four guys are enough. Once again, could you upgrade? Yes, like Cody Bellinger would be better than Corey Julks or Mauricio Dubon. Just statistically, that's been the case. But I almost wonder if the Astros are better served adding a bat somewhere else because the outfield has actually been one of the more consistent offensive aspects of this team this year.
Listen, here's the thing. What happens if you go ahead and get a deal done for Dylan Cease? Let's just say that John Hyman, oh my God, that's not the way you say it, is right when it comes to they are actually all in on trying to get Dylan Cease. And they want him on the rotation. And you got to give up a JP France or a Brandon Bielak. You got to give up a Jake Myers. You got to give up a top-tier prospect. Maybe it's a Corey Lee. And then they want to throw in a Corey Julks for that matter, or a Mauricio Dubon. because right now their value is not going to get any higher than what it's at. At that point, you have to consider all your options, which means you have to go ahead and buy low on a rental option to replace a guy like Jolks or like Dubon, whether that be in the infield or the outfield. And the thing that's really important here is I look at Corey Jolks, and I think that he's been a phenomenal player in the role that he's had this year. But he's kind of like a layover city. And what I mean by that is you go ahead and you're going on a long-term trip internationally. You have to stay the night and say like Seattle. You go ahead and like Pikes Pier. You go ahead and walk the sidelines. You enjoy the smell of the ocean breeze. But your final destination is Vancouver. His final destination right now with the Astros, I don't think, to get into a starting role is here. It's got to be somewhere else. So that's a conversation that Dana Brown has to have. That's a conversation that I think Dusty has to have. What could be beneficial for this team to be able to add in not only a great bat, but also give another player an opportunity to find help elsewhere.
So if they were to add an outfielder, who would you want? Is Cody Bellinger at the top of your list?
Yeah, I mean, he's at the top because he's probably the most influential based off how he's played this year. But I got another name that I actually think would be able to help you out to where you don't worry about the depth purposes if somehow you keep a guy like Corey Jolks.
Okay.
Why not Randall Grichuk for the Colorado Rockies? I know that he's a guy who's 31 years old. He's coming off a 5-year extension. He's currently day-to-day right now. He's not known for his power. But in the last month, he's currently hitting over 300. He currently has a batting average of 348, 423 on base percentage, 826 slugging, 1.249 OPS. And the guy also has barely struck out this month. He's walked more than he struck out, and he's hitting for contact. So he's great defensively, and you don't have to worry about him playing every single day. So basically, if you were to say, let's go ahead and replace Jake Myers with someone with a little bit more veteran expertise on a rental option, that'd be a pretty good fit.
So the thing about Grichuk is, and you bring up some good points, he has been playing some pretty good ball as of late.
He had one bad month.
I still think he might be a fourth outfielder here. Like, is he better than Jake Myers? Yes.
Yeah.
But is he a lot better than Corey Jolks?
Probably not, but that's the thing, is that can you utilize him as that fourth outfielder, that defensive substitution, kind of like you did when you brought in Cameron Maben a couple years ago for 2017.
Could be an option. 713-780-ESPN if you want to chime in. We go out to the HRNP listener line right now and bring on Troy from Crosby who wants to talk Stros. What's up, Troy?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Enjoy the show.
Appreciate
you guys are talking about Corey Jolks and Jake Myers being trade bait, maybe for a pitcher or another position. But who are you trading first? Myers or Corey Jolks?
Myers.
I'll hang up and listen, guys. Thanks.
Myers.
You weren't even going to let him hang up and listen
Myers.
before you gave the answer.
It's Myers.
Yeah. You got to, the thing to consider, and I don't know what Corey Jolks could bring back in a trade because he's not a super highly touted prospect. He's in his later 20s. Like, I don't think he's going to be a frontline piece in a package to get a Dylan Cease or anybody like that. But that's another thing you have to weigh. Like, okay, maybe you could get more trading Corey Jolks than you could Jake Myers.
Can you bend a franchise that's struggling over a barrel and make them call you daddy like the A's? Because think about it. I know that Andrew doesn't want Paul Blackburn on this roster. He said it yesterday. He's not a fan of it. But you need relief pitching. You could go ahead and get a guy who has experience, and Corey Jolks gets an opportunity to have a Tony Kemp-like surgeons. And he's going to play every single day. Because can you name 5 players on that A's roster?
Or that try.
Single A roster?
We're going to try a little bit later in the show.
There's a single A team out there that could probably beat the A's.
Yeah.
No, there's not.
Triple A. Maybe they'd take one in a 4-game series.
I could see it go to extra innings.
Yeah.
I could easily see it go to extra innings with the way that pitching is going.
With the weird extra inning rule, you never know.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
You never know. Thanks for the call, Troy. We'd love to hear more from y'all. 713-780-ESPN. Should the Astros be trading Corey Jolks? Should they be trading Jake Myers? Should they be trading for an outfielder before we get to the deadline? We'd love to hear from you. It is the Wheelhouse on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.